Dr. Amanda Phillips walked through the shining halls of the Galactic University of Centauri Prime, her shoes clicking against the smooth metal floor. The morning light from the twin suns streamed through the large windows, casting purple shadows across the walls. She had worked at this university for 12 years, teaching xenobiology to students from dozens of different worlds. But today was different. Today, she was about to meet the first human exchange students in the university's history. The message had arrived 3 weeks ago through official channels. Earth had finally been accepted into the Galactic Education Exchange Program. Amanda remembered the heated debates in the faculty meetings. Most professors were nervous about accepting students from what the galaxy classified as a Class 12 death world. Earth was considered one of the most dangerous planets in known space, a place where almost everything could kill you. Amanda pushed open the doors to her office and found Chancellor Vexthala waiting for her, the tall, blue-skinned Zephyrian leader looked worried, his long fingers drumming nervously on her desk. "Dr. Phillips," Chancellor Vexthala said, his voice carrying the musical quality of his species. "I trust you are ready for today's arrivals?" Amanda nodded as she set down her bag. "I've prepared special safety protocols and arranged for medical teams to be on standby. The humans should be arriving within the hour." The Chancellor's large, dark eyes showed his concern. "I still question the wisdom of this decision. A Class 12 death world, Amanda? The survival rate statistics from Earth are terrifying. How do we know these humans won't be dangerous themselves?" "The screening process was very thorough," Amanda replied, pulling up files on her computer. "All 3 students have excellent academic records and peaceful backgrounds. Jake Morrison is studying wildlife biology. Lisa Carter focuses on xenozoology. Ryan Bell studies comparative anatomy. They seem like normal students." "Normal students from an abnormal world," the Chancellor muttered. "I've read the reports about Earth. Creatures with massive teeth roam freely. Venomous animals hide everywhere. The weather itself tries to kill anything that moves. How do humans even survive there?" Amanda had wondered the same thing. Earth's classification as a Class 12 death world meant that most galactic species considered it completely uninhabitable. The few scientific surveys done from orbit showed a planet covered in what appeared to be nightmare creatures. Yet somehow, humans had not only survived, but thrived there. A soft chime filled the office, indicating incoming transport arrivals. Amanda felt her heart beat faster. After months of preparation, the humans were finally here. "Shall we go meet them?" she asked. The walk to the transport bay felt longer than usual. Other faculty members had gathered along the corridors, curious to see the legendary Deathworlders. Amanda noticed how they whispered behind their hands and kept their distance. As if the humans might be dangerous just by existing, the transport bay doors opened with a quiet hiss. 3 figures stepped out, and Amanda was surprised by how normal they looked. She had expected something more intimidating, but these humans seemed remarkably ordinary. Jake Morrison was tall with brown hair and kind eyes. He wore simple clothes and carried a worn backpack. Lisa Carter was shorter with blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. She had a bright smile and moved with easy confidence. Ryan Bell was average height with dark hair and glasses. He looked around with obvious curiosity and excitement. "Welcome to Centauri Prime," Amanda said, stepping forward. "I'm Dr. Amanda Phillips, your xenobiology professor." "Thank you for having us," Jake said, his voice warm and friendly. "We're really excited to be here." The other faculty members stayed back, watching nervously as the humans moved with casual ease. Amanda noticed how relaxed they seemed, completely unaware of the fear they were causing just by being present. "Your journey went well?" Amanda asked as she led them toward the university proper. "Oh yes," Lisa replied cheerfully. "Much better than the time I flew back from Alaska. That was a really rough flight." Several alien students who had been walking nearby stopped suddenly. Alaska was marked in their databases as one of Earth's most dangerous regions, a frozen wasteland filled with massive predators. "You've been to Alaska?" asked Professor Kethmore, a crystalline being whose body structure allowed him to vibrate his words. How did you survive? Lisa laughed, a sound that made several aliens step back in surprise. It's not that bad. I was doing research on wolves there. Beautiful animals, really. Very intelligent, the aliens exchanged horrified glances. Wolves were classified in their databases as apex pack predators, creatures so dangerous that most species would evacuate entire continents if they appeared. You studied wolves? Professor Thrix9 asked, her crystalline form shifting colors to show distress. Living wolves? Sure, Lisa said casually. I spent 3 months tracking a pack in the wilderness. They're fascinating creatures. Very social. Great parents, and they show real emotions. Ryan adjusted his glasses and added, I've always been more interested in reptiles myself. I have a collection of snakes back home. The hallway fell completely silent. Even the automated system seemed to pause. Snakes were legendary in galactic databases as silent death dealers, creatures that could kill with a single bite or crush. Their prey to death? Collection? Chancellor Vextilla whispered, About 15 different species, Ryan said proudly. My favorite is my ball python slider. He's really gentle and loves to be handled. Great personality. Amanda watched as Professor Thrix9's crystal body flashed bright red, a sign of extreme alarm in her species. The idea that someone would voluntarily keep multiple death serpents as companions was beyond comprehension. Jake seemed to notice the tension and tried to lighten the mood. Don't worry, they're not as scary as they sound. I grew up on a ranch. With much bigger animals? Horses, cattle, barn cats. Normal farm stuff, but his words only made things worse. The aliens knew about Earth horses from their databases. Massive creatures with crushing hooves and powerful legs, capable of killing with a single kick. Cattle were described as horned beasts with unpredictable tempers. And cats, even small ones, were listed as perfect killing machines with razor claws and lightning reflexes. You lived with war beasts? Professor Kethmore asked, his crystal form dimming with shock. Jake looked confused. War beasts? No, just regular animals. My horse, Thunder, was really gentle, and our barn cats kept the mice away. They were great pets. The word pets caused another wave of panic. The concept of keeping predators as companions was completely alien to galactic civilization. Most species either avoided dangerous creatures entirely or eliminated them as threats. Amanda realized she needed to end this conversation before someone fainted. Perhaps we should continue this discussion in my office, she suggested. I'm sure you're tired from your journey. As they walked through the corridors, Amanda noticed how the human students moved with easy confidence, completely unaware of the terror they were causing. They pointed out interesting architectural features and asked questions about the university's history. They seemed genuinely excited to learn about alien cultures. Behind them, alien students whispered frantically to each other. News was already spreading through the university's communication networks. The humans had casually mentioned living with creatures that would be classified as weapons of mass destruction on any garden world. In her office, Amanda offered the human seats and tried to process what she had learned. These 3 students had grown up surrounded by what the galaxy considered ultimate predators. They spoke of deadly creatures with the same casual tone others might use to discuss the weather. I think, Amanda said carefully, that your presence here is going to be more educational than anyone expected. The humans smiled, completely unaware that they had just redefined what the galaxy thought it knew about the relationship between intelligent life and dangerous creatures. Their casual attitude toward Earth's deadly wildlife was about to change everything. 3 weeks had passed since the humans arrived at the Galactic University. The initial shock had worn off, though alien students still whispered nervously whenever Jake, Lisa, or Ryan walked by. Dr. Amanda Phillips had watched with fascination as the 3 humans adapted to university life with remarkable ease. They attended lectures, participated in discussions, and seemed genuinely interested in learning about alien biology. Professor Thrix9 stood at the front of the xenobiology laboratory, her crystalline form reflecting the bright lights overhead. The weekly practical demonstration was about to begin, and she felt nervous energy flowing through her crystal structure. This assignment was simple in theory. Each student would present a specimen from their homeworld and explain its biological significance. Today, we will examine specimens from your respective planets, Professor Thrix9 announced, her voice creating musical tones as it passed through her crystal body. This will help us understand the diversity of life across the galaxy, the alien students had prepared carefully. Zara Min from the garden world of Velka had brought a holographic display of her planet's most complex organism, a flowering plant that changed colors with the seasons. Keth Rao from the peaceful moon of Serenity had prepared a preserved sample of a small, herbivorous creature that spent its life eating fruit and sleeping in trees. The presentations proceeded smoothly. Each alien student showed organisms that were beautiful, peaceful, or scientifically interesting. There were no predators, no dangerous chemicals, no threatening behaviors. The galaxy's garden worlds had evolved life that was gentle and safe. Then it was Jake's turn. I wanted to show you something really special from Earth, Jake said, standing up with his usual casual confidence. I've arranged to transport a barn owl through the university's matter transport system. Her name is Luna, and she's about 2 years old. Professor Thrix9's crystal form flickered with confusion. Transport? You mean a living specimen? Sure, Jake replied. Luna is really calm and well-trained. She's perfect for demonstrations. The alien students exchanged worried glances. Living specimens were almost never used in presentations. Most creatures were too unpredictable or too dangerous to bring into a laboratory setting. Lisa stood up. Next, I'm bringing my friend's dog, Buddy. He's a golden retriever, super friendly and great with people. He loves meeting new friends. Ryan adjusted his glasses and smiled. And I'm bringing Slider, my ball python. He's really docile and enjoys being handled. I think everyone will find him fascinating. The laboratory fell silent. Professor Thrix9's crystalline body began flashing warning colors as she processed what she had heard. The humans were planning to bring live predators into the university laboratory. This was beyond anything she had imagined. Perhaps, Professor Thrix9 said carefully, we should discuss this with the administration first. But Jake was already activating his communication device. Too late, they're already being transported. They should arrive in about 10 minutes. Panic began to spread through the laboratory. The alien students started moving toward the exits, but Professor Thrix9 activated the security protocols, sealing the doors. If dangerous creatures were about to materialize in the lab, she could not risk them escaping into the university corridors. Emergency protocols are now active, she announced. All students must remain in their seats until the situation is resolved. The Valkyrian students huddled together, their blue skin turning pale with fear. The Zephyrians began making high-pitched sounds of distress. The crystalline beings formed a defensive cluster near the back of the room. Jake looked around in confusion. What's wrong? They're just normal animals? Normal? Squeaked Vexkala, a small Zephyrian student. You're bringing predators into the laboratory. Predators? Lisa asked, genuinely puzzled. Buddy's not a predator, he's a family pet. Kids play with him all the time. The alien stared at her in horror. The idea of children playing with a pack-hunting carnivore was beyond their comprehension. A soft chime indicated incoming transport. 3 containment units materialized on the laboratory floor, each one sealed and marked with Earth's planetary identification codes. Professor Thrix9 activated the emergency communication system. Security to Xenobiology Laboratory. Code Orange. Situation: possible dangerous fauna transport. Jake walked over to the first containment unit and began opening it. Luna's probably a little confused from the transport. She doesn't like small spaces. Stop, Professor Thrix9 commanded. Do not open those containers. But Jake had already lifted the lid. A magnificent barn owl emerged, her white and brown feathers perfectly arranged, her large, dark eyes scanning the room with calm intelligence. She stepped onto Jake's extended arm and settled there as if she had done it 1,000 times before. the alien students screamed. Luna turned her head nearly completely around to look at the source of the noise, a movement that sent several Zephyrians into complete panic. Her forward-facing eyes, designed for hunting, locked onto the fleeing students with predatory focus. "She's beautiful, isn't she?" Jake said proudly, stroking Luna's feathers. Barn owls are incredible hunters. They can hear a mouse moving from over 100 feet away. The word hunters caused another wave of terror. Professor Thrix9's crystal body was now flashing bright red, the color of extreme danger in her species. Lisa opened the second container, and Buddy bounded out with his tail wagging enthusiastically. The large golden retriever looked around the room with friendly curiosity, his tongue hanging out in a happy expression. To the aliens, Buddy's wagging tail looked like an aggressive threat display. His exposed canine teeth and powerful jaw structure were clearly visible. When he barked once in greeting, several students dove under their desks. "Buddy, sit," Lisa commanded, and the dog immediately obeyed. "Good boy." The aliens watched in amazement as the massive predator instantly responded to Lisa's command. The concept of a human controlling a pack hunter was revolutionary. Ryan opened the third container and gently lifted out Slider, a beautiful ball python with intricate patterns along his scales. The snake wrapped gently around Ryan's arm, completely relaxed and calm. "Slider's really gentle," Ryan explained. "Ball pythons are constrictors, but they're not aggressive at all. They're actually quite shy." The word constrictors sent the remaining standing students to the floor. They knew what constricting meant. This creature could crush bones and stop hearts with its muscular coils. Professor Thrix9 watched in fascination and terror as the three humans interacted with their creatures. Jake continued to hold Luna, who seemed perfectly content on his arm. Lisa was playing with Buddy, throwing a small ball across the room while the dog fetched it eagerly. Ryan allowed Slider to explore his shoulders, the snake moving with fluid grace. "How?" Professor Thrix9 managed to ask. "How do you control them?" "Control them?" Jake looked puzzled. "We don't control them. We're friends with them." The concept of friendship with predators was completely alien to galactic civilization. Most species had evolved on worlds where dangerous creatures were rare. The idea of forming emotional bonds with hunters was revolutionary. Security alarms began blaring throughout the building. Emergency teams were mobilizing to contain what they assumed was a biological threat. Professor Thrix9 realized that this simple class demonstration had become something much more significant. The humans continued their presentation, completely unaware of the chaos they were causing. They spoke about their animals with love and respect, explaining behaviors and characteristics as if they were discussing beloved family members, and in a way, Amanda Phillips thought as she watched through the laboratory's security cameras, perhaps they were. The emergency alarms echoed through the corridors of the Galactic University of Security. Chief Vextalar rushed toward the xenobiology laboratory. Behind him, a full hazmat team carried weapons designed to contain the most dangerous biological threats. The reports coming through his communication device painted a terrifying picture. 3 apex predators loose in a university laboratory. Students trapped inside, possible casualties. "Maintain formation," Vextalar ordered his team as they reached the sealed laboratory doors. "We're dealing with Class 12 Deathworld fauna. Extreme caution protocols are in effect." Through the reinforced window, Vextalar could see the humans standing calmly in the center of the room. The alien students were huddled against the walls, their faces showing pure terror. And there, moving freely among them, were the creatures from Earth. "Breach the door," Vextalar commanded. The laboratory doors slid open with a sharp hiss. The hazmat team moved in with practiced precision, weapons raised and ready. They expected to find chaos, blood, and destruction. Instead, they found something that challenged everything they thought they knew about predator behavior. Jake was gently stroking Luna's feathers while explaining something too. Professor Thrix9, the barn owl, sat peacefully on his arm, her large eyes scanning the room with calm intelligence. There was no aggression, no threat display, no sign of the murderous intent that should have driven a creature of her classification. Lisa was on the floor. Playing with Buddy, the golden retriever was rolling on his back, his tail wagging furiously, as Lisa rubbed his belly. The sounds he made were soft and happy, not the growling threats that pack predators were supposed to make. Ryan stood near the back of the room, allowing Slider to wrap around his shoulders. The snake moved with fluid grace, exploring Ryan's shirt collar with gentle curiosity. His coils were loose and relaxed, showing none of the crushing pressure that constrictors were famous for. "Stand down!" Vextalar called to his team, confusion clear in his voice. "Hold positions but do not engage." Dr. Amanda Phillips appeared in the doorway behind the security team. She had been monitoring the situation from her office and knew she needed to intervene before someone got hurt. "Chief Vextalar," she said calmly, "I think there's been a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" Vextalar replied, his weapon still pointed toward the humans. "We have reports of 3 Class 12 predators loose in the laboratory." "Yes," Amanda said, "but look at them." Vextalar looked more carefully at the scene before him. The humans were completely relaxed, moving with easy confidence around creatures that should have been trying to kill them. The animals themselves showed no signs of aggression or fear. They seemed comfortable, even happy. "I don't understand," Vextalar said slowly. "Why aren't they attacking?" Jake looked up from Luna and smiled. "Attacking? Why would they attack?" "They're friendly." "Friendly?" Vextalar's voice rose in disbelief. "That's an apex predator." "Luna?" Jake looked at the barn owl fondly. "She's not dangerous to people. She hunts mice and small animals. She's never hurt anyone." Dr. Kethmore, the university's head of biological threat assessment, arrived with another team of specialists. His crystalline form was flashing multiple colors as he tried to process what he was seeing. "Impossible," he muttered, pulling up data on his portable scanner. "The readings are all wrong. These creatures should be exhibiting aggressive behavior patterns." Lisa looked up from where she was playing with Buddy. "Aggressive?" "Buddy's never been aggressive in his life. He's a therapy dog. He visits sick children in hospitals." The concept hit the aliens like a physical blow. This creature, classified as a pack-hunting carnivore, was trusted around sick children. The idea was so foreign that several of the security team members lowered their weapons in confusion. "Therapy dog?" Dr. Kethmore asked weakly. "Sure," Lisa said, scratching behind Buddy's ears. "He's trained to comfort people who are scared or sad. He's really good at it." Ryan spoke up from his position near the wall. "Slider hears, actually. Used in educational programs back home. Kids love learning about snakes when they can see one up close." "Educational programs," Vextalar repeated slowly. "With children." "Of course," Ryan said. "Most people are afraid of snakes because they don't understand them. Once you learn about their behavior, you realize they're not scary at all." Dr. Amanda Phillips stepped forward, her scientific mind racing with possibilities. "Chief Vextalar, I think we need to document this. What we're seeing here challenges everything we know about predator-prey relationships." "Document what?" Vextalar asked. "The relationship between humans and these creatures," Amanda replied. "Look at them. Really look at them." Vextalar studied the scene more carefully. Jake was now holding Luna up so Professor Thrix9 could examine her feathers. The owl remained perfectly still, allowing the alien professor to touch her with her crystalline appendages. There was no fear, no aggression, only trust. Lisa had produced a small ball from her pocket and was throwing it across the room. Buddy chased after it eagerly, his powerful legs carrying him with incredible speed. But instead of continuing his hunt, he brought the ball back to Lisa and dropped it at her feet. His tail wagging with joy. Ryan was explaining something about Python behavior to Dr. Kethmore, allowing the crystalline being to observe Slider's movements up close. The snake seemed curious about the alien, gently touching Dr. Kethmore's crystal surface with his tongue. "This is unprecedented," Dr. Kethmore said, his voice filled with wonder. "These creatures are responding to human commands. They're showing affection. They're exhibiting social bonding behaviors." "That's what we've been trying to tell you," Jake said with a slight smile. "They're not just animals to us. They're friends." The word friends sent a ripple of shock through the assembled aliens. Friendship implied mutual respect, emotional connection, and trust. The idea that such relationships could exist between species, especially between prey and predator, was revolutionary. How? Professor Thrix9 asked, her crystal form flickering with curiosity. How did your species develop these relationships? Lisa looked thoughtful. I guess we've always lived with animals. Humans have been working with dogs for thousands of years. We help each other survive. Survive together, Ryan added. Instead of fighting each other, we found ways to cooperate. The concept of cooperation between species was not unknown in the galaxy, but it usually involved mutual benefit between equals. This was something entirely different. Humans had somehow formed partnerships with creatures that could kill them. But why? Dr. Kethmore asked. Why would you risk your lives? Jake smiled as he gently stroked Luna's head. Because life is better when you have friends, even if they're different from you. The aliens stared at him in amazement. The simple truth of his words hit them with unexpected force. On their safeguarded worlds, they had never needed to form such bonds. They had never faced the kind of dangers that would force them to find allies in unexpected places. Dr. Amanda Phillips felt her excitement growing. This was more than just a cultural curiosity. This was a fundamental difference in how humans approach the world around them. Where other species saw threats to be avoided or eliminated, humans saw potential partners. I think, she said slowly, we need to completely rethink our understanding of human civilization. The security team slowly lowered their weapons, still, watching the animals with nervous fascination. The emergency alarms had stopped, but the real awakening was just beginning. Word spread through the university like wildfire. Within hours, every student and faculty member knew about the humans and their tame predators. The story grew with each telling, becoming more incredible and terrifying as it moved from person to person. By the end of the day, requests for demonstrations were flooding Dr. Amanda Phillips' office. Chancellor Vex Dalla stood in the emergency meeting room, surrounded by department heads from across the university. The large screen behind him showed security footage from the laboratory incident, frozen on the image of Jake calmly holding Luna while alien students cowered in the background. This changes everything, said Dr. Yethmora, head of the psychology department. If humans can form emotional bonds with apex predators, what does that say about their mental structure? It says they're insane, muttered Professor Crixval from the safety department. No rational being would willingly interact with such dangerous creatures. Dr. Amanda Phillips had been invited to the meeting to provide her expert opinion. She stood at the front of the room, her mind still processing everything she had witnessed. I don't think they're insane, she said carefully. I think they're adapted. Earth is a Class 12 death world. Perhaps forming alliances with dangerous creatures was a survival strategy. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The idea that humans had survived by befriending the very things that should have killed them was both brilliant and terrifying. The galactic community needs to see this, Chancellor Vexthala declared. I'm authorizing a full demonstration in the main auditorium. We'll invite observers from other universities. 3 days later, the main auditorium of the Galactic University was packed. Representatives from dozens of worlds had traveled to Centauri Prime to witness the impossible. The audience included scientists, government officials, and military observers. Everyone wanted to see the humans who had tamed Deathworld. Predators. Dr. Amanda Phillips stood on the stage, feeling nervous energy radiating from the crowd. The humans sat calmly in chairs beside her, completely unaware of the historic significance of what they were about to do. Luna perched on her portable stand, Buddy lay relaxed at Lisa's feet, and Slider rested comfortably around Ryan's shoulders. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all classifications, Amanda began. What you are about to witness challenges our fundamental understanding of predator-prey relationships. The audience leaned forward with anticipation. In the front row, Admiral Zexion of the Galactic Defense Force watched intently. His species had evolved on a world where the largest predator was about the size of a house cat. The idea of living with creatures like these was beyond his comprehension. Jake Morrison will begin by demonstrating the hunting capabilities of the barn owl. Amanda announced. Jake stood up and gently lifted Luna from her stand. The auditorium fell completely silent. Even the automated system seemed to pause as the deadly predator spread her wings. Luna hunts by sound, Jake explained, his voice carrying easily through the hushed auditorium. She can hear a mouse moving from over 100 feet away. He turned off the stage lights, plunging the auditorium into darkness. The audience gasped as Luna took flight, her wings making no sound at all. She moved like a ghost through the darkness. Her flight so silent that even the most sensitive alien hearing couldn't detect her. She's using echolocation and sound mapping, Jake's voice continued from the darkness. Her facial disc focuses sound waves like a satellite dish. Her asymmetrical ear openings let her pinpoint prey location exactly. A small mechanical mouse was released at the back of the auditorium. Within seconds, Luna had located it and swooped down with precision that made several observers faint. Her talons, capable of crushing bones, closed around the toy with perfect control. The lights came back on. Luna perched calmly on Jake's arm, the toy mouse gently held in her talons. The audience stared in stunned silence. On any other world, Jake said quietly, Luna would be the perfect assassin. Silent, precise. Deadly, but she's also gentle, intelligent, and loyal. To prove his point, Jake brought Luna close to his face. The owl gently preened his hair with her sharp beak, showing the kind of trust that would be impossible between natural enemies. Admiral Zexion gripped his chair so tightly that his knuckles turned white. The demonstration of the owl's abilities had been like watching a military weapon in action. But the gentle interaction afterward was what truly terrified him. Lisa stood up next, and Buddy immediately came to attention. His tail wagged as he looked up at her with obvious devotion. Buddy is a pack predator, Lisa announced to the crowd. His ancestors hunted in coordinated groups. They could take down prey much larger than themselves. She walked to the center of the stage and called out, "Buddy, guard!" The golden retriever's demeanor changed instantly. His playful expression became alert and focused. He positioned himself between Lisa and the audience, his body tense and ready. The transformation was remarkable and frightening. In this mode, Buddy would defend me against any threat, Lisa explained. His bite force is over 200 pounds per square inch. He's fast enough to catch a running human and strong enough to knock down a grown man. The audience watched in fascination as Buddy demonstrated his protective instincts. When a volunteer actor approached Lisa with mock aggression, Buddy's response was immediate and controlled. He positioned himself as a barrier, his body language, clearly communicating that he was ready to fight. But then Lisa said, "Buddy, friend," and the dog's entire demeanor changed again. He approached the volunteer with his tail wagging, eager to make a new friend. The speed of the transformation amazed everyone watching. "This is the true miracle," Lisa said, scratching behind Buddy's ears. "He's not just a weapon that I control. He's a partner who chooses to protect me." The concept of choice hit the audience like a physical blow. The idea that a predator would willingly choose to protect rather than hunt was revolutionary. Ryan stepped forward for the final demonstration. Slider moved slowly around his shoulders, completely relaxed despite the presence of hundreds of alien observers. "Constrictors are ambush predators," Ryan explained. "They wait motionless for hours, then strike with lightning speed. Once they wrap around their prey, escape is impossible." He allowed Slider to wrap around his arm, the snake's coils tightening slightly to demonstrate his strength. The audience could see the powerful muscles moving beneath the snake's scales. "Slider could easily crush my arm," Ryan said calmly, "but he chooses not to. He understands the difference between a threat and a friend." To prove his point, Ryan allowed Slider to wrap around his neck. The gasps from the audience were audible as the snake's coils settled around Ryan's throat. One squeeze from those powerful muscles would end his life instantly, but Slider simply rested there, his head moving gently as he explored Ryan's collar with his tongue. The trust between human and snake was absolute. "This is what we call partnership," Ryan said, his voice completely calm despite the deadly creature around his neck. Not domination, not control, but mutual respect and understanding. The auditorium erupted in amazed chatter. Beings from across the galaxy struggled to understand what they had just witnessed. The humans had not only survived alongside creatures that should have killed them, they had formed bonds of trust and friendship. Dr. Amanda Phillips looked out at the stunned audience and realized that this moment would change everything. The galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. And, somewhere in the back of her mind, she wondered what other impossible things humans considered perfectly normal. 3 weeks had passed since the emergency assembly. The panic that once filled the station's corridors had slowly turned into something else entirely. Curiosity was replacing fear, though it came with plenty of caution. Jake Morrison sat in the observation deck, watching Ranger play with a simple puzzle box. The young brown bear turned the device over in his massive paws, studying it with remarkable patience. Behind the reinforced glass, a small crowd of alien students had gathered to watch. "He's thinking about it," whispered Veltar the insectoid student who had fainted during Katie's shark presentation. His compound eyes tracked every movement of the bear's claws. "I did not know animals could think like that." "Most Earth animals are smarter than people give them credit for," Jake replied, keeping his voice calm and steady. He had learned that sudden movements or loud sounds still made the aliens nervous. "Ranger here can solve problems that would stump some of my classmates back home." The bear figured out how to slide the panels in the right order, and a treat dropped out. Ranger made a pleased rumbling sound and immediately started working on the puzzle again. "Why does he do it again?" asked Gloop, the gelatinous alien who had literally melted from terror when he first saw Bruce the shark. "He already got the food, because he enjoys it," Jake explained. "Bears are curious creatures. They like to figure things out. It keeps their minds active." Professor Zethkar approached the group, his crystalline body no longer crackling with stress like it had during those first chaotic days. "Jake, the Galactic Education Council has approved your proposal. They want you and Katie to develop a full curriculum on human-animal relationships." Jake smiled. "That's great news, Professor. Katie will be thrilled." "There is one condition," the professor continued. "They want demonstrations from other human students as well. They believe your species' approach to dangerous creatures could help other worlds deal with their own environmental challenges." Down in the aquatic lab, Katie Sullivan was conducting her own informal lesson. Bruce the bull shark swam in lazy circles in his tank, completely at ease despite the crowd of alien observers pressed against the viewing walls. "See how he moves?" Katie pointed to the shark's fluid motion. "Every part of his body is designed for efficiency. The way his tail propels him, how his fins keep him stable, even the texture of his skin reduces drag in the water." A young alien from the crystalline collective raised what might have been a hand. "But he is a killer, yes. How can you speak of him with such dotness?" Katie considered the question carefully. "Bruce is a predator, but that doesn't make him evil. He's just doing what millions of years of evolution designed him to do. Sharks have been around longer than trees on Earth. They're perfectly adapted to their environment." "Are you not afraid he will hurt you?" asked another student. "I respect him," Katie replied. "I understand what he's capable of, and I take precautions." "But fear? Not really. I've been swimming with sharks since I was 12 years old. My dad taught me to read their body language, to understand when they're curious versus when they're hunting." The aliens exchanged glances. The idea of deliberately entering water with such a creature still seemed impossible to them. "Would you like to see something interesting?" Katie asked. She moved to a control panel and activated a feeding mechanism. Instead of just dropping food into the tank, she made the device move the bait in specific patterns. Bruce immediately became more alert. His movements became precise and calculated as he tracked the moving target. But instead of attacking wildly, he demonstrated remarkable control, following the bait through a series of turns and loops before finally taking it. Training, Katie explained. Just like Ranger with his puzzles, Bruce can learn. Sharks are much smarter than most people think. Some species can even recognize individual humans. The demonstration was interrupted by Jake's arrival with his own group of observers. Ranger padded beside him, completely relaxed despite being surrounded by aliens who still gave him plenty of space. "How goes the shark lesson?" Jake asked. "Good progress," Katie replied. "I think we're getting through to them. How about you?" Veltar actually asked to touch Ranger's fur, Jake said with a grin. "From a safe distance, of course." Professor Zethkar cleared his throat. "I have been thinking about your final presentation to the Council. They want to understand not just how you interact with dangerous animals, but why your species developed." This ability, Jake and Katie exchanged a look. This was the deeper question they had been expecting. "It's about adaptation," Jake began. "Earth didn't give us easy lives. We had to learn to coexist with everything from tiny poisonous insects to massive predators. Those who couldn't adapt didn't survive." It's more than just survival," Katie added. "Humans are social creatures. We form bonds. When we domesticated wolves thousands of years ago, we didn't just tame them. We formed partnerships. We learned to read each other's signals, to work together. That partnership instinct extended to other animals," Jake continued. "We learned that even dangerous creatures could become allies if we understood them well enough. Horses let us travel faster and farther. Dogs helped us hunt and protected our homes. Even cats, despite being independent predators, chose to live with us because it benefited both species." A student from the Aqueous Federation raised a tentacle. "But what about the truly dangerous ones?" "The ones that cannot be tamed? We learn to respect them," Katie said simply. "To understand their territory, their behavior, their needs. We found ways to coexist without direct conflict. Sometimes that meant avoiding certain areas during breeding season. Sometimes it meant creating barriers or warning systems. And sometimes," Jake added, "it meant accepting that sharing our world with dangerous creatures made us stronger. A human who can read the signs of a nearby predator, who can remain calm under pressure, who can think clearly in dangerous situations, that human is better prepared for any challenge." The aliens absorbed this information in thoughtful silence. Finally, Veltar spoke up. "Your species turned adversity into advantage." "Something like that," Jake agreed. "Every challenge became a learning opportunity. Every dangerous creature taught us something new about survival, about adaptability, about ourselves." Professor Zethkar nodded slowly. "This explains much about human behavior that has puzzled the Galactic Council. Your willingness to explore dangerous worlds, to take risks that other species avoid, to find solutions in seemingly impossible situations." "We're not fearless," Katie clarified. "We're just used to managing fear. We've learned to work with it instead of being paralyzed by it." Over the following days, word spread throughout the station and beyond. The human students found themselves in demand as consultants for other worlds facing their own environmental challenges. A mining colony dealing with aggressive native fauna wanted to learn human-animal handling techniques. A research station on a storm-racked world requested advice on working in dangerous conditions. Jake and Katie worked with Professor Zethkar to develop a comprehensive program. They brought in video communications with other human students from various backgrounds, a marine biologist from California, a wildlife photographer from Alaska, a veterinarian from Texas, a park ranger from Colorado. Each human brought their own perspective on working with dangerous animals. But the common thread was always the same: understanding, respect, and the ability to find cooperation even in the most unlikely partnerships. The program's success exceeded everyone's expectations. Within a month, the station had requests from dozens of worlds wanting to learn from human methods. The Galactic Education Council formally recognized the new curriculum as a major breakthrough in interspecies cooperation. On the final day of the term, Jake stood before a mixed audience of alien students, faculty, and visiting dignitaries. Ranger sat calmly beside him, occasionally glancing at the crowd with mild interest. The most important thing we've learned, Jake concluded his presentation, is that humans aren't special because we're fearless. We're special because we learn to transform fear into wisdom, danger into opportunity, and enemies into friends. He scratched Ranger behind the ears, and the big bear made a contented rumbling sound that somehow seemed to resonate with beings across multiple species. That, Jake said with a smile, is the real secret of being human.